What's up, y'all? I'm Dirty Mike, and welcome to Dirty Mike Nation, your number one stop for cannabis news, reviews, and attitude. On today's video, we got the Weed News Roundup for January 2016. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's the monthly segment where we keep you up to date on legalization on the state and national levels. And if you're tuning in, do me a favor, go ahead, throw a comment down in the comment section. Let me know where you're tuning in from, because we like to keep you guys up to date, and I want to see where my viewers are checking in so I can make sure I'm keeping you guys in the know. So do me a favor, let me know. But anyways, let's get to the news. So first order of business. In Arizona, organizers with the campaign to regulate marijuana like alcohol are only a few thousand signatures short of getting it on the ballot this year. So if you live in Arizona, definitely go out there and be sure to sign it if you want legalization in your state this year, which I assume you do. It's going to allow adults 21 and older to carry up to an ounce of pot on them in public. It's going to charge a 15% sales tax for education and public health. So we all saw in the other couple states that have legalization how much money was taken in. So I think this is going to be a good idea. Arizona, way to go, guys. Story out of Maryland, though. In 2014, marijuana possession was decriminalized, but for some weird reason, paraphernalia wasn't. So if you had a bong, if you had a pipe, anything that you used to like smoke weed, you could still go to jail for it. But if you had weed, you wouldn't. So it's kind of a gray area. So luckily they passed a new measure that's going to decriminalize paraphernalia. There's a lot of people getting in trouble for it. So it's kind of stupid that you can smoke weed, but the thing to use it, or I guess it's decriminalized. It's not a crime to smoke weed or to have weed, but to have the stuff that you use to use it is. So it's nice that they're actually summing that up so people in Maryland don't have to go through that crap. So good job, Maryland. You're moving right along. So out of Florida, this is a great measure. If you've watched a few of the Weed News Roundups before, you saw we've talked about Florida and how they had a CBD only marijuana program that they're trying to push. Is very restrictive. It didn't really work or hasn't been implemented yet. But there's an attorney out of Florida named John Morgan, I believe, and his initiative's called United for Care. And last week they submitted 1.1 million signatures, and they only needed 683,000. So they're in the process of verifying the signatures and being able to get that on the ballot for Florida voters this year. In 2014, though, United for Care, the same measure, was on the ballot and received 58% of the vote in Florida. But in the state of Florida, you need 60% of the vote for measures to be turned into law. So it didn't pass. They're only 2% of the vote away. So what they're trying to do is remove some of the measures that were holding up, snagging some of the people who were against it. So hopefully, this will get on the vote. And because Florida, I don't know if you know if you've seen anything about it, but there is a lot of like a big retirement community in Florida and a lot of prescription pills, and there's like these things called like pill mills where people go and like buy prescription pills all throughout there because there's such a big retirement community in Florida that it's so easily accessible to get these prescription pills that can do a bunch of damage, especially when they're abused, and they are being abused by a lot of people. So I think in Florida it'll be great to have medical marijuana, especially for the elderly people, the retirement community, and just to help deter a lot of like the pills and the pill overdoses and the abuse of them, because they are very destructive. So it'll be good to get something more natural that doesn't do as much harm for the community. So way to go, Florida. You guys are doing what you should be doing. I'm stoked to see that. I've never been to Florida, but I definitely want to visit. And when you guys have medical marijuana over there, I'll definitely be swinging by. But anyways, on to the next news. In Virginia and Kansas, they're working on decriminalizing marijuana. But in Kansas, this story is crazy. They're considering a bill to reduce marijuana possession from $2,500 fine and a year in jail to $1,000 fine and 6 months in jail. That is ridiculous. Especially growing up in California where you're allowed to smoke weed basically everywhere. Like that, you're going to throw someone in jail for 6 months and charge them $1,000 because they had weed on them. I don't really find that too fair to me. But hey, this is America. I guess the process is slow, but at least they're doing something, I guess. I really think what we need, though, is a full-scale decriminalization across the board federally, because it's silly that there's people in some states who are making a bunch of money off marijuana, doing it the right way, and then the one person who wants to smoke weed in one state's going to go to jail when there's people, doing everything legally. So let's hope that we can figure this out, but who knows. Next order of business. Let's see, out of Utah, they got a medical marijuana bill. It's called the Senate Bill 73 that got introduced. And it's a medical marijuana bill that's going to be for qualified patients that have diseases such as AIDS, Alzheimer's, ALS, cancer, Crohn's disease, epilepsy, MS, and even like people with in the military with like PTSD. It's going to be available for them. They want to do a no smoking law where it's basically all the marijuana is being turned into oils or edibles and stuff, which is a good start. I feel like smoking marijuana is probably one of the more direct ways to get it. It's the most quickest way to get the medicine into your system. But I know there are people who they just see any smoking and they're against it. And it isn't the healthiest way to consume the medicine, because combusting anything and inhaling any smoke isn't going to be healthy for you over the long term. But it is a more direct way to get the medicine, and a quicker way if you need a quicker, more direct form of intake. But that's okay. I mean, as long as people can get the medicine they need, I'm not really too worried about the way they can take it. And especially with oils, if they're talking about like concentrates, then you don't really need to be combusting plant material, because the concentrates are a lot better and stronger than the plant can actually ever be. So, way to go, Utah. You guys are doing it. All right. And the last bit of news for the Weed News Roundup, coming from California. Napster's founder Sean Parker's initiative has pulled over $1 million in support. They just got approved for the signature portion, and they're going to start collecting signatures. So they're going to need 365,000 signatures. And if you know how big California is, that's not going to be too big of an issue. I'm really excited to see this initiative get on and to vote for it. I'm actually going to try to become like a signature collector and go out and collect some signatures. So be on the lookout for that. You guys might see me out there trying to get a signature or two from you. Well, that's it for this edition of the Weed News Roundup. If you want to stay up to date on what I'm doing in between videos, be sure to follow me on Snapchat and Instagram. This is Dirty Mike for the Nation, reminding you to subscribe, tell your friends if they can get an education. Zip! Peace!